Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and today I'm just going to be officially updating you on some more latest news, building up to the game against FC Astana tomorrow evening in the Europa League. So there is a bit more, team news, to give you an update on, because I've just watched, some of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference, but it has confirmed that Luke Shaw, Anthony Martial, Daniel James and Paul Pogba were all absent from training, so none of them, will be participating in this particular game. Daniel James is the recent absentee. He sustained a knock in the 1-0 victory over Leicester, so it has confirmed that Daniel James will not be playing tomorrow evening, but we are hopeful that Daniel James, Pogba, Martial and that all can regain full fitness for the game against West Ham at the weekend. But I think Daniel James has enjoyed a very good start to his Manchester United career. He has scored 3 goals so far this season, so in that aspect, he is joint top goal scorer alongside Marcus Rashford, because I think Marcus Rashford has scored 3 goals so far this season. But Daniel James, like I said, he's done really well so far. Don't get me wrong, he's still a prospect and needs time to develop, but I think he has been a fruition so far this season, and I think so far this season he's replicating what he did last season with Swansea, because don't forget he only made his senior debut back in February 2018, but I think it's some kind of knock he has currently sustained, so he will not be participating in the game. Obviously, in regards to Paul Pogba, as you all know, he missed the 1-0 victory over Leicester with an ankle injury. Obviously, he had to withdraw from the France squad a couple of weeks ago due to this injury, so hopefully he can be back for the West Ham game at the weekend. So obviously it was Nemanja Matic that was fulfilling Paul Pogba's role in the 1-0 victory over Leicester. In regards to Luke Shaw, I don't think he's going to be available for the game at the weekend against West Ham. I think he's expected to return for the game against Arsenal at the end of the month. Luke Shaw, as you all know, is out with a hamstring injury. He has actually missed the last 2 games. So obviously due to his absence, I think obviously Ashley Young has been fully his role, because obviously Ash Young in the last 2 games has been playing at that left back position, and hopefully Luke Shaw, I want him back as soon as possible, because he is a very imperative player for Manchester United. Analysing the majority of his Man United career, I think he's been mainly consistent as Luke Shaw. He has had some rough patches here and there, he had a bad spell under Mourinho, obviously he's sustained quite a few injuries as a Man United player, but analyse his performances last season, he won the double player of the season. Anthony Martial, like I said, he's out with a thigh injury. He's also missed the last 2 games like Luke Shaw, and before Anthony Martial sustained this injury, you can say he's been arguably one of our best players this season. Obviously I think Anthony Martial is developing fantastically well. Obviously, as it got confirmed at the start of the season, he has been given that number 9 shirt, so we do know that Martial is playing in that number 9 role. Don't forget Rashford's been fulfilling Martial's role in the last 2 games, so Rashford has obviously been playing centrally. Rashford's performances haven't been too great this season, let's be honest, but he hasn't been great, but I think he is still a long-term solution for Manchester United. But I think Rashford, for the majority of this season, will probably end up playing on that flank. Maybe will play centrally quite a few times, when Martial's even fit. But I think, Martial will obviously, play more centrally this season. It was good that we did give Martial a new deal back in January. But I think analysing, some of his career, he's done really well for Man United so far this season. He's done really well. He's replicating what he did in his debut season under the Louis van Gaal era. But I did say, if Martial can avoid any more injuries this season and he can keep the consistency up, I do believe he can score from at least between 15 to 20 goals this season. But yeah, he will not be playing tomorrow. Jesse Lingard is back. Obviously we do know that he's been ill, so obviously he missed the game against Leicester. I just don't want him to play at this present time though, due to his inconsistency basically, because Jesse Lingard in the games he's played in this season has been very poor, but I'd still say he's a long-term solution for Manchester United. We have got some good news in regards to Diego Dalot. It's confirmed recently he's returned to training, because we do know recently he's been out with a groin problem. It initially said that it was unknown when he was going to recover from this injury, but it's confirmed he is back in training, so could possibly, be involved in this game tomorrow evening. So in that aspect, and Wan-Bissaka, could be dropped for this particular game and could be rested until the game on Sunday. But I think anyway, reflecting on the amount of injuries and that we've got, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is obviously, anyway going to make alterations in the squad. He did confirm in his press conference, that the youth, will be starting this game. He has assured that Mason Greenwood will be definitely starting from the start. Also, Alex Tunanzebe, will be he'll be starting the game, and also Sergio Romero will be starting the game. And obviously, we're going on the experience of Sergio Romero, in the cup competitions, because obviously, he has got that experience. So it's likely that Romero, will be in goal. In regards to Mason Greenwood, now anyway, we do know that Greenwood, is demanding more playing time at the football club. Obviously, he's not yet started from the start this season as Mason Greenwood. He has made, 4 substitute appearances. Didn't even play in the game against Leicester as I thought he would have done. But Solskjaer recently said he was infuriated, with Rashford's recent performances. So he did initially say the other week that Solskjaer was considering giving Mason Greenwood more of a prominent role at the football club. Don't forget, he only made his full debut at the end of last season in the 2-0 home defeat to Cardiff. So, like I said, Mason Greenwood did really, really well throughout pre-season, and I think if he gets more opportunities this season, he can replicate what he did throughout pre-season. He was also good last season. Don't forget, he scored 30 goals in 29 games for the Manchester United reserves, and he's only 17 years of age. But yeah, he's been assured he will be starting this game. Obviously, Chong, I don't know if Chong will start the game, but I think Chong, should be involved in this game. Don't forget, Chong made his first appearance, in the win against Leicester. Obviously, came on as substitute. Don't forget, Solskjaer did say the same thing, as what he did do with in regards to Mason Greenwood, that Chong, will be assured more first team opportunities this season. Don't forget, he received loan offers from PSV and Feyenoord earlier on in the summer, but obviously, he had turned them loan offers down because, he wants to commit his future with Manchester United. Feyenoord's his former club. He's been at Man United now overall, 4 seasons now, I think, as Chong, he's only managed 4 first team appearances, I think, so far though. But I think, he should get given his opportunities. But this particular game is the chance, for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, to give the young upcoming players a chance, because I did say we have got a lot of young players in the squad, that are developing and of course trying to improve. Like I said, Diego Dalot has not yet played a game this season, so I think, he's going to make his first appearance of the season. Like I said, don't forget, Diego Dalot's versatility is very, very good. He can play as a right back, a left back and a right winger, and he did play at that right wing position quite a few times towards the back end of last season. Don't forget, he's only been at the club since last summer, but obviously reflecting back last season, Young was our first choice right back, so obviously we had to put Diego Dalot at that right wing. I think a few times we also played him at left back, so his versatility in that's really, really good. And in regards to Alex Tunanzebe, obviously we do know he's a defender, so we don't really expect a lot of creativeness from him. We expect fluidity in that attacking line, and that we're Mason Greenwood. Obviously, Alex Tunanzebe has got that experience now because he gained that experience last season. Because don't forget, he was on loan with Aston Villa last season, was Tunanzebe. So he returned to the club early on in the summer. Despite the fact that Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof are our first choice centre backs, I do believe that Alex Tunanzebe will get given his opportunities this season. So definitely, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could make 7. He could make 8 changes. So he will definitely make a lot of rotations in the squad. Like I said, Eric Bailly's long-term absence, we do know he's out until the new year with an knee injury. Obviously, we do know that Fossil Mensah is a long-term absence. Obviously, Lee Grant is out with injury. I do believe Scott McTominay, should keep his place in the team because I think he's had a fantastic start, this season for Manchester United. In regards to him being a long-term solution for Man United, I have got an element of concerns about that, but I think he's done really, really well this season. Obviously analysing it so far this season, in the majority of the games, bar one, he has played alongside Paul Pogba, but actually played alongside Matic in the 1-0 victory of Leicester. But McTominay, has done really, really well, so he does deserve, to keep his place in the team. Angel Gomez, I think all the youngsters, or the majority of the youngsters, have obviously been in training, and I think all of them, or majority of them, are in contention, to be involved tomorrow. Angel Gomez, I don't think he's yet played so far this season, as far as I know, and it did initially say, he's going to be a big part of the squad this season. I think Angel Gomez, don't forget, is another one of our midfield options. Obviously, Fred, I think he should also be in line to start this game. Don't forget, Fred has not yet started a game this season for Manchester United from the start. I think he actually made his first appearance at the weekend when he did come on in Leicester game, if I'm right. I don't know, like I said about McTominay, I don't know if Fred is the long-term solution for Man United. Solskjaer did say, he expects to see, better things from Fred this season. But he just needs to be, given them opportunities. But I think any of our midfielders, as I say at the moment, are much better solutions than Nemanja Matic. So Matic is a very, very inconsistent player. So if I had to choose between Matic and Fred, my preference would be Fred because he's more mobile and better on the ball than Matic, and he has proven that in the games, he has played quite well in. So definitely, Solskjaer, will make alterations in the squad. But yeah, basically, it's a game, Manchester United, should win. Like I said, I don't really know much about FC Astana. Obviously, they are the Kazakhstan champions. I think, they're halfway through their current season at the moment. I do believe, they're sitting third, FC Astana. But I think analysing, the Man United squad, I do believe, we're actually good enough, to win the Europa League. Don't forget, we did it a couple of years ago under the Jose Mourinho. We beat Ajax, by 2-0 in the final. So if we do win the Europa League, obviously we get automatic qualification for the Champions League, and we are all aware that is very imperative that Man United, do get back into the Champions League. And I think, we have got it's not a really difficult group. We've got FC Astana, AZ Alkmaar, and Partizan Beograd. But yeah, we've got to win this game tomorrow evening. This is actually, by the way, the first competitive meeting, between an English side and a Kazakhstan side. Our record quite recently in the Europa League has been quite good. We're unbeaten in our last 11 Europa League games, but we've actually, this is a statistic, we've actually lost our last 2 home games in a European competition, but we've never lost 3 games in a row at Old Trafford before. So that's a current stat, to give you an update on. But like I said, this will, this particular game, the youngsters are going to get an opportunity, which is very, very good. So I believe in this game that Harry Maguire won't be playing, even though he's had a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. I probably believe that Victor Lindelof, will be dropped. Actually, Phil Jones could play in this game. He could make his first appearance this season, because so far this season the Premier League are out. Phil Jones has not played. Rojo could make his first appearance of the season, because don't forget, we know Rojo is primarily a centre back, but his versatility is good in that back line. He can play in various other positions. He can play as a left back. He can play as a wing back. So Rojo, in this game, could be involved in that. Maybe Jimmy even Garner, could be involved in this game. If Jimmy Garner is to play, I think he probably will come on as a substitute. But yeah, like I said, we've got a lot of young players in the squad, and I credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the aspect, that he has got a lot of trust with his young players. So yeah, we have got quite a few injury concerns, but it's good that a couple of players have now returned from injury. Diego Dalot's, back in training. Jesse Lingard's obviously recovered from his illness, and hopefully we can get Pogba, Martial, back to full fitness, for the game on Sunday against West Ham. I don't think Luke Shaw, will be fully fit, for the game against West Ham. So in that aspect, probably, Young may have to play, but obviously with the return of Diego Dalot, it probably will be Dalot, and now Wan-Bissaka at them full-back positions, and that maybe Rojo, because don't forget, like I said, Rojo can play as a wing-back and that. But like I said, we haven't enjoyed a great start to this season. Obviously, we've won 2 games, we've drawn 2, and of course we have lost 1. So in that aspect, we've registered 8 points, from a possible 15. So that isn't a great start to the season, that. But it was good that we did get back to winning ways last weekend in the league against Leicester, winning the game by 1-0, thanks to Marcus Rashford's penalty, just before the 10th minute mark. And Solskjaer admitted, it wasn't a great game, it wasn't a great team performance in Manchester United, but all that matters is, we did get the win. And if you want to take into account, with the amount of injuries we had in that particular game, you can say it was a good result, because Leicester have enjoyed a pretty decent start to this season. But like I did say, now that win, should give us some confidence now to go on a winning run, because obviously we've got to go on a winning run, if we want to, we've got to win as many games as we can, to keep our hopes up, for that top 4 this season. Because I did initially say at the start of the season, our expectations this season, will be to finish in that top 4, and perhaps even win some silver. And I did say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to exceed these expectations, and reflecting on our bad run of performances and results, and obviously we'll take into account, in the last couple of months of last season, some of the blame does stem from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because obviously, some of his tactics are questionable, but also the blame, does stem, from the team as well. But it's quite clear, there is more, investment needed in the squad. Obviously, analysing our squad at the moment, it isn't good enough to win the league. I don't even think, it's good enough to challenge for the league. So I did say in that aspect, our aspirations in the next couple of seasons, will be to finish in that top four. But like I did say, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League, that went in that aspect. It went against us in the summer transfer window of getting all our number one priority targets. Because I did say, quite a lot of players, would have had reservations about joining the football club with our failure to qualify for the Champions League. But I'll credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the aspect, that he did recommend, 3 good players to the squad, and we have seen glimpses of what good signings they've proven to be so far. We spent a substantial amount on them, if you want to say. We spent over £140 million on 3 players. Daniel James has done good so far. Harry Maguire's done good, and obviously, Wan-Bissaka has done good. Some people actually believe, that Wan-Bissaka, has been one of our most consistent signings. So, obviously, there was doubts before the Leicester game that Wan-Bissaka could have missed that particular game. Obviously, don't forget, because he had to withdraw from the England squad the other week after he sustained a back injury. So, in that aspect, that actually, prevented him, from making his senior debut for England. But Wan-Bissaka has been absolutely fantastic. His distribution's good. He shows that ability to play out from the back. And I think he's replicating so far this season, what he did with Crystal Palace last season, because he was good with Crystal Palace last season. He only made his senior debut back in February 2018. So if Bissaka is to keep the consistency up, his valuation, will continue to grow and all that. But he's only 21 years of age, is Wan-Bissaka. But I think the club, did pay him around £50 million for him. But obviously we do now know he's our first choice right back. So it was good in the aspects throughout the course of the summer, that we did address, some of the problematic areas, which we wanted to do anyway. Well, we actually wanted to address all the problematic areas in the squad, but obviously it was going to be hard for us, to address all the problematic areas in one summer transfer window, because it's only been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first summer as Manchester United manager. So we got that experienced centre half in that we wanted, we got that right back in, but it was a shame that, we didn't get a midfielder in. It was also a shame, that we didn't get a right winger in, but, the board's to blame for that, because the board didn't recommend any sufficient midfielders in, or any attackers in that. But for me, definitely Ole Gunnar Solskjaer needs backing in January, or perhaps next summer. So he needs to make investment in the next couple of windows, because Solskjaer did say at the start of this summer that he wanted to recommend at least 5 new additions to the squad. But I do believe, the board did assure at the start of the season that Solskjaer, will be backed more in the next couple of windows, because the board realised that they didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, earlier on this summer. He wasn't backed enough, as the board, did presume he would have been backed, but he wasn't. So regardless of what happens this season, as long as we're not in relegation, or as long as we're not in a position, what we shouldn't be in, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job, should be safe for them at least this season, because you can still quite frankly say, he's in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United squad. It's a game we need to win tomorrow. I don't think it's as imperative as Sunday, but obviously now I think if we've got any chances of winning any silverware this season, I think we could probably win the Europa League, maybe win the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup, but I don't think we'll win the Premier League with that without a shadow of a doubt. That's without a shadow of a doubt. I don't think we'll currently win the Premier League. But Solskjaer's confirmed. He does. Want to stick to the policy of signing young British players. Obviously, he did recommend 3 British players into the club earlier on in the summer, and reportedly now we have targeted 5 British players for next summer. So we have got quite a lot of British players on our agenda. Who Man United could go in for next summer. I do believe some of the players we was in for throughout the course of the summer, we could actually reignite our interest in them in January, because don't forget there was a lot of players on our agenda throughout the course of the summer. But the 5 British players we're set to target next summer, according to recent reports, is Jadon Sancho from Dortmund, Sean Longstaff from Newcastle, James Maddison from Leicester, Nathan Collins, and Callum Wilson, I do believe. So we're set to go in for them next summer. Obviously, they're all young. Of course, they're all British. So obviously, they will fit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer strategy. But I do believe out of them 5, we've identified, Jadon Sancho and James Maddison as our number 1 priority targets. We are aware that it's going to cost the club a substantial amount, for both players. Probably Jadon Sancho is going to cost us in the excess of around £100 million. James Maddison's probably going to cost us around £80 million. £50. So in that aspect, Leicester are going to demand a similar fee, to what they did do for Harry Maguire. But like I did say, I'd love James Maddison at the club. I'd love Jadon Sancho at the football club, because I think they're both good players. James Maddison is primarily an attacking midfielder. Brendan Rodgers has played him on the left quite a few times. But obviously, we're probably seeing James Maddison as an adequate replacement for Paul Pogba. Even though Paul Pogba's move to Real Madrid didn't materialise this summer, and he's staying at the football club at least until January, I still believe Paul Pogba's plans for the future, is to make a move to Real Madrid. So I think definitely James Maddison would be the right solution for Manchester United. We have got the financial power to pay up to 70 or 80 million pounds for his services. He is only 22 years of age, is James Maddison. Obviously, this is his second season in the Premier League, with Leicester, don't forget, and he's flourishing under Brendan Rodgers' guidance. I thought he did well in his debut season last season, though, did James Maddison. Was involved in 14 goals, created more chances than any other player in the Premier League. I think that's a good statistic, but I think he must have created around 100 chances last season with James Maddison, and he's got 4 years left on his current contract with Leicester. Leicester paid around £20 million for him from Norwich last summer, but recent reports said we've been interested in James Maddison since June. We was only tentatively linked to him throughout the course of the summer. We didn't identify him, as our number one priority target. But yeah, he's going to cost us around 70 or 80 million pounds. Is James Maddison. Reports were saying that we could actually, move in for him in January, so we could go in for him in January. But it's more than likely, we'll probably leave it until next summer. But I would love James Maddison in, especially if Paul Pogba was to stay, at the football club. It would be even better. Imagine them two in our midfield. I think, they would complement each other, fantastically well. But he's doing really, really well with Leicester. He also had a good couple of seasons in the Championship, with Norwich. Obviously began his career at Coventry, when he was youngster. And I do believe then, at that point, there was teams tracking James Maddison. Like I said, in regards to Jadon Sancho, I'd love Jadon Sancho at Manchester United. And don't forget, we was in for Jadon Sancho earlier on in the summer, so at that point, he was subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. I think it was only mainly Manchester United that were in for Jadon Sancho. Don't forget, we identified him as our number one priority target, back in January. But I did say, we missed out on Jadon Sancho, obviously, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League. I think we'll probably go in for Jadon Sancho next summer. I do believe that he is set to stay at Borussia Dortmund for this season. He's now in his third season as a Borussia Dortmund player, because I've analysed some of his performances in the 2 years he has been there, and he has done really, really well. He has become a fruition as Jadon Sancho, but I'd love him at Manchester United because he can create chances, he can score goals, he can provide assists, and this is something Manchester United need. We need someone in that can probably score more goals, because analysing it so far this season, I haven't really seen much improvements this season than what I saw last season. I don't think we're going to enjoy a worse season this season than what we saw last season, because last season was a huge disappointment. We finished 6th. Obviously, we failed to qualify for the Champions League and that. But last season we were creating chances, but we only managed 53 goals in the Premier League last season, and we've only managed 8 goals so far in 5 Premier League games, so that's not really good, to quite honest with you. So we do need to be more ruthless in front of goal. We need that clinical element, and we don't seem to have that at the moment. And that's obviously something that Manchester United do need to justify. But I'll say with Jadon Sancho, I would be excited about the prospect of him, playing alongside the likes of, Dan James, Rashford, Martial and all that. I think he would blend in that attacking line fantastically well. He is only 19 years of age. He is under contract with Borussia Dortmund until 2022. And also, it's also beneficial because, Sancho has had experience of playing in the Premier League. Obviously, he served a couple of years with Man City. Obviously, never got assured first team opportunities at Manchester City. So this is the main factor reason why I left City to join Borussia Dortmund. The Borussia Dortmund got him for next to no. They only paid around, 7 or 8 million pounds for his services. And Borussia Dortmund do know deep down how much of an imperative player he is. Obviously Borussia Dortmund have lost, quite a few of their key players in recent years. Don't forget they lost, Aubameyang, a couple of years ago from Arsenal. I think they lost him back in January 2018. They did get a substantial amount for his departure, and he's now 31 years of age. Is he Aubameyang, or is he 30 years of age? Obviously, they got rid of Pulisic. I think they got around 47 million pounds for him. He's gone to Chelsea, as you all know. Earlier on in the summer, that got confirmed. Obviously they lost Ousmane Dembele, don't forget, did Borussia Dortmund. So, you know, they have lost quite a few of their imperative players in recent years, but obviously they've generated, you know, a substantial amount for their departures. But, you know, if we're to go in for Jadon Sancho, you know, he's going to cost us £100 million, and again, Borussia Dortmund are going to generate a substantial amount. So I'd love him at Manchester United next summer. But in regards to Callum Wilson now, you know, we haven't really, you know, been linked to him, you know, to be quite honest. I was reading the Daily Mail recently, said, you know, he's on that list of them 5 players, you know, we're set to target next summer. Obviously, we know he's British, and he's been in the limelight, you know, for Bournemouth as Callum Wilson. So, you know, would you like him at Manchester United? Would you like him at Man United? And Sean Longstaff, like I said, you know, primarily a box-to-box midfielder, only 21 years of age. You know, don't forget, you know, we inquired about his services for the majority of the summer, you know, we was in for Sean Longstaff. Obviously, you know, earlier on in the summer, you know, we were willing to pay up to around 20 or 25 million pounds for him. Obviously, you know, Newcastle were playing hardball throughout the course of the summer in regards to Sean Longstaff, because, you know, Newcastle, you know, well, it did say at one point he was set to leave, and then Newcastle, you know, basically, you know, were, you know, putting their valuation up, and then it come to it saying that they quoted out that they wanted £50 million for him. Obviously, you know, Man United were reluctant to pay that, because if we had paid £50 million, then that would have been silly. That would have been bad business from the football club. But we're obviously, you know, known for overpaying for players anyway. But, you know, Steve Bruce obviously got appointed in. Obviously before the start of the season, which was obviously earlier on in the summer. And, you know, at the time, Man United were in for Sean Longstaff when the window when the window was open. Obviously, Steve Bruce give his overarching view on the speculation. He did say Sean Longstaff is part of his plans for the future, you know, with Newcastle, but he's primarily box-to-box midfielder. I think it was his debut season with Newcastle last season in this, you know, in the senior squad, if I'm right, and he did quite well last season. He did well towards the second half. He did well in the second half of last season. He's under contract with Newcastle until 2022. He's Sean Longstaff. So, you know, would you like him? Don't forget, Newcastle lost Perez, you know, earlier on in the summer. He was a very imperative player to them. So he's a player, you know, we could go in for in January or next summer. Maybe we could reignite our interest in Bruno Fernandes in January. Don't forget, you know, he was our main priority target, you know, throughout the course of the summer, but we didn't manage to get Bruno Fernandes, because I don't think, you know, we was willing to meet Sporting Lisbon's valuation. You know, don't forget, towards the back end of the window, you know, we inquired about getting, you know, Mandzukic in and Dybala. Obviously, we were seeing them as possible replacements for Romelu Lukaku. But yeah, definitely for more investment is needed in the squad. And I do believe Solskjaer earlier on in the summer, you know, had spoken about our recruitment policy and analysing it. You know, it isn't too good, to be quite honest with you. You know, wasn't competitive enough, you know, throughout the course of this summer. But obviously, reflecting on the other windows, we haven't been competitive enough. You know, we didn't get anyone in January. Obviously, reflecting back last summer under the Jose Mourinho era, you know, we didn't get our number one targets. So, like I said, we need to make further more investment in January. So, Solskjaer needs to be back to more in January. And he'll look to bring maybe at least 1 or 2 players in January. Or he'll probably, if we don't get anyone in January, you know, we will wait until next summer. And I did say, you know, reflecting on the amount of money that's been spent at the football club, you know, in the last 6 or 7 years, you know, we all know that, you know, we should be much more of a commanding position, you know, than we're in now. But unfortunately, you know, we're not. And a hell of a lot of money has been spent at the football club. I said over £140 million has been spent this summer under Solskjaer. You know, just under £400 million was spent under Mourinho. Obviously, you know, over 200 was spent under Van Gaal. The vast majority of players now from the Van Gaal area have left the football club. There's still some of them here, though. You know, £67 million was spent under Moyes. So around nearly £900 million at an estimated guess, you know, or somewhere in that region has been spent in the last 6 or 7 years at the football club. Also, now we have got players on big contracts as well at the football club. But I think players have done well so far this season, despite, you know, with our stuttering start to the season. But Neville gave his overarching view the other week, and he believes that, you know, we're on the right track under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. This is what he believes. He says, you know, we're not playing particularly badly in certain games. You know, we're just not being clinical enough in front of goal, and, you know, that does seem to be the main factor problem at the moment. and that's what it seems to be like. And like I do keep saying, despite the fact that quite a lot of players have now left, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, I still believe now as we speak that a couple of more players at least, should be moved on in January or perhaps next summer, because I still believe, there is problematic players at the football club. Obviously, Italy has been a popular destination this summer, for the vast majority of our players that have left. Obviously, Lukaku went to Inter Milan, he went to Italy. Sanchez went to Inter Milan on loan, he went to Italy. Obviously, now they're reunited together. Obviously, Darmian went to Italy, he made his return back to Italy. Smalling went on loan to Italy, with Roma. And quite a few and other players have left the football club as well who didn't go to Italy. Valencia, left at the end of last season after he served 10 years at the club. Obviously, Ander Herrera went to PSG. Fellaini, of course, left the football club. And it was a shame we didn't recruit a replacement for Ander Herrera and Marian Fellaini. Obviously, Herrera and Fellaini, were two long-serving players at the football club. Herrera served 5 successful years at the club. Fellaini had 6 years at the club. For the majority of his for that 6-year period, though, Marian Fellaini, was very, very inconsistent, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. Lukaku left the football club, like I said. It was a shame that we didn't recruit a replacement for him. And a couple of goalkeepers got loaned out. Don't forget, obviously Dean Henson got loaned out to Sheffield United. I think that's good in that aspect because, Dean Henson's going to gain more experience and he's still only very young, Dean Henson. Joe Pryor, went out on loan to Scotland, with Hearts. But I still believe as we speak, there is more problematic players at the football club. Obviously, I think Phil Jones is a player that perhaps needs to be moved on in January or next summer. Phil Jones has been a long-serving player at the club. Jones has been at Manchester United now 8 years, but this is 9th season now ninth season at Manchester United. Like I said, he could make his first appearance for the club tomorrow. Jones has nearly been at the football club a decade. I think he has made over 300 odd appearances for Man United in all competitions as Phil Jones. But obviously, with the arrival of Harry Maguire, obviously, he's going to find game time, very, very difficult with that. As we all know, Phil Jones got a new long-term contract last season. Don't remember that. Phil Jones got a new long-term contract last season. I think he's under contract with the club, if I'm right, until 2023. In regards to Ashley Young, I think, he's obviously past his sell-by date, and that's obviously reflecting on his age. Ashley Young, obviously, he is now 34 years of age. I think Young is 35 next year, if I'm right. And analysing his career at Man United, he was really, really good when he was younger. Don't forget, he was primarily a right winger, back in the day. But obviously, as he was developing, he got rotated as a right back. So in that aspect, he's comparable to Wan-Bissaka, because Wan-Bissaka was primarily a right winger. Don't forget when he was younger, but he got rotated as a right back, when he was developing in that. And but Young obviously got a new 1-year extension at the club last season, which I think Man United shouldn't really give him. But yeah, this probably will be his last season now at Manchester United. And obviously, as I've been recently updating you in regards to Nemanja Matic, as you all know, obviously we do know he's attracting interest, from several clubs quite recently. It reported says that up to 4 clubs are now in for Matic. So reportedly, Juventus, Inter Milan, AC Milan, and Borussia Dortmund are interested in signing Nemanja Matic on a free transfer at the end of the season when his current contract does expire. So obviously there's a host of Italian clubs interested in him, so he could be another player that could possibly be going to Italy. Don't forget, we have got the option to extend his current contract by a further year, but I think Matic needs to be moved on due to his inconsistency, and plus he's initially lost his place in the team, and I think in that aspect Nemanja Matic is infuriated about that, and I think he's given his overall analysis on this season, and he's actually not infuriated with the lack of game time he has been getting, because he's initially lost his place in the team to Scott Montgomery. But like I said, with Matic, he's too slow, he's aging up, he is now 31 years of age. Matic is into his 3rd season as a Manchester United player. Obviously, he's made 88 appearances, I think, for the club in all competitions. 66 of those appearances have come in the Premier League. And obviously, we paid around £40 million for him from Chelsea back in 2017. This was obviously under the Jose Mourinho era. And analysing the majority of his Man United career, he has been mainly inconsistent. I know people talk about that, he has got that experience and that, as Solskjaer was reflecting in his, press conference, he basically mentioned that, sometimes the Europa League and the Cup games can be, for more of the experienced players, rather than, the youth and that, but, Matic is a me, is a player for me that needs to be dropped on a regular basis. And so far he has been, this season. He actually, was a first choice last season. There was Matic, but too inconsistent for me. Obviously at the time we got him anyway, he wasn't first choice. He was actually, our third choice signing. But yeah, Juventus, don't forget they've been known in recent years, for getting players on free transfers. Obviously they got Emre Can on a free transfer this summer. They got Adrian Rabiot from PSG and Aaron Ramsey from Arsenal on a free transfer, and they did good business, throughout the course of the summer. So I think for me, Nemanja Matic definitely needs to be moved on, in my opinion. I think Marcus Rojo is another player that does need to be moved on in January or next summer. Don't forget, throughout the course of the summer, Rojo, was subjected to quite a lot of transfer speculation. Don't forget, there was quite a lot of teams, that went in for him. Everton inquired about getting him on deadline day. Obviously, Monaco, Marcelo and AC Milan also, inquired about Marcus Rojo's services. And Rojo has just got under 2 years left in his contract with Manchester United and that. So I do believe, he's a problematic player, even though he did well, actually, throughout pre-season. So I will credit him in that aspect. So I still believe, these problematic players with the football club. I'm really, really happy anyway, that, Paul Pogba, is staying at Manchester United, very, very delighted about that. I still believe his plans for the future is to definitely make a move to Real Madrid. He could move to Real Madrid in January, could move to Real Madrid next summer. Don't forget, he was Zinedine Zidane's #1 priority target throughout the course of the summer, but, he'd be frustrated in the aspects that, he failed to get his #1 target, despite the fact Real Madrid did good business throughout the course of the summer. They spent around, £300 million on 5 players. They did sell some players, so they generated, some of that money back. There is still a possibility, chance that, we could renew Paul Pogba's contract at Manchester United. Obviously there was talks that Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola, had been in negotiations with the football club regarding Pogba's future, and obviously, regarding Paul Pogba's future, and obviously, possibly renewing his contract at Man United. But Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola, he came out at the start of pre-season and actually said, his client was in the process of leaving the football club. So he was widely spoken about throughout the course this summer. Obviously, it wasn't only Real Madrid that winning for him. Real Madrid was his first choice preference, and Real Madrid, were relentlessly into him. But obviously, don't forget there was talks about him going back to Turin. Obviously, he did have 4 good years in Turin with Juventus, but hasn't mainly replicated this at Man United. Obviously, there was Barcelona were in for him. Obviously reports come out the other week saying that, he agreed to join PSG just before deadline day. He reportedly said, he agreed around a £429,000 a week deal. But obviously his move never materialised. Pogba's to PSG because of the Neymar side, because there was narratives going out early on in the summer about, Neymar possibly making a return back to Barcelona. That's what it basically said. But it did say, the main factor reason why Paul Pogba, stayed at Man United this summer and he remained loyal to the football club, because Adidas basically, Adidas intervened in his transfer to Real Madrid, and reportedly Adidas, wanted him to stay at the club because they knew it was basically, better for them commercially in that. So, but Pogba's got 2 years left in his contract with Manchester United with an option, to extend by a further year, and he's obviously still one of the highest paid players at the club. He is on 290 grand a week, is Pogba. And Paul Pogba's brother Matthews, he subjected quite a bit of speculation early on in the summer, and quite recently he said that Paul Pogba, had spoken to Lionel Messi, obviously, who's obviously spent the majority or all his entirety of his career, with Barcelona. But I think if he's to leave in January, he will go to Madrid. Obviously, we quoted out that we still want a substantial amount for him in January. We want somewhere in the region of around £179 million for him and that. And Paul Pogba hasn't had a bad start this season. I don't think he's performed to the same sort of extent, as Martial, Daniel James, Bissaka and Harry Maguire and that. But I think, he has done okay. He wasn't so good against Southampton. He missed a penalty early on in the season. Received a lot of criticism for that. But yeah, so hopefully if we can renew Paul Pogba's contracts, then probably Real Madrid have got other alterations. They'll probably then go in for Christian Eriksen. They'll look to get him on a free transfer next summer. But Pogba's 26 years of age and he has still, got a lot of development in him. Obviously we have seen how good he can be at Man United, and we mainly see the rest of Paul Pogba, when he's 3'd up. But he said early on in the summer that he wanted to leave. He did say, he was seeking for a new challenge. But he has got an ankle injury at the moment, so he will not be playing tomorrow, as you all know. He will not be playing tomorrow, as you all know, but still a very, very imperative player. But it was initially in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans anyway, to build a side around Paul Pogba. Now, obviously, in regards to De Gea, good news recently come out about him. As I've already, give you an update on. Very, very delighted about the news about De Gea. He's committed his long-term future at Manchester United, which is very, very good. Obviously, it confirmed a couple of days ago that, De Gea has signed a new long-term contract at Manchester United. So, he's signed a 4-year deal with an option of a 5th year. So, it's obviously going to take him under contract with the football club until 2023. Obviously, now he's the highest paid goalkeeper in the world and the highest played at the football club, because obviously in this new deal he's going to earn from between 350,000 to 375 grand a week. But very, very happy he signed this new long-term contract, and he loves the football club, does De Gea. It's been an honour, of him spending 8 years at the club. It's been a real privilege, to be quite honest with you. And I think it's good that he's got that opportunity now, to continue his career with Manchester United. Could spend the rest of his career with Manchester United. Could David De Gea. Analysing it, I think he's had 7.5 good years at Man United. He's obviously been at the club 8 years, so in that aspect he's been a long servant. He's now into his 9th season at Manchester United, David De Gea, but he is still potentially the best goalkeeper in the world. Obviously he's made 367 appearances, for the club in all competitions. This is what he's made in all competitions for the football club. Obviously, he's registered about 130 clean sheets in all competitions, just over 100 in the Premier League. So them statistics, are really, really good. But he was mainly making costly mistakes towards the back end of last season, because that was mainly to do with the contractual situation. And obviously, De Gea's won everything here domestically. Obviously, he's won the Busby Player of the Year 4 times out of 5 seasons, reflecting on his impressive performances. And obviously, he's been at the club since 2011. We paid around £18 million for him from Atletico Madrid. Obviously, De Gea began his career in Spain. Obviously, his relatives and that are in Spain. He's originally from Spain and that. Don't forget, Real Madrid were in for him for a number of years. Real Madrid came so close to getting him back in 2015, but due to a fax machine, the deal never materialised. PSG, inquired about getting him earlier on in the summer. Obviously, Juventus, recently, went in for him. But, there was change of narratives about it. Obviously, it was only the other week saying that we was at risk of losing him on a free transfer. Obviously, he was going to reject any contract offer from Man United. But yeah, and I knew there was a lot of trustworthy in it anyway, when it was stemming from Duncan Castles last week, I think it was. And Duncan Castles, like I do keep saying, tends to be reliable, the majority of the time. He does jump too early on stuff, like he's done in the past. He did it with Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire earlier on in the summer. But yeah, he basically said that David De Gea, had signed a new deal. Basically, it was the Guardian report there with us to report it, saying, he was closer to signing a new contract with the football club. But, like I did say, if he had left, it would have been beneficial to cash in for him in January, because he did have under a year left on his current deal. But, we had a couple of goalkeepers in our agenda, who could have replaced him. There was Jano Blanc in our agenda. Obviously there was, from Atletico Madrid, there was Jordan Pickford from Everton on our agenda. But I'm glad anyway that David De Gea has signed a new long-term contract at the football club. So he is now staying, and he is very, very imperative indeed. Due to, even though we have been very inconsistent for a number of years now, it just shows that David De Gea, he's remained loyal to the football club. It just shows, the passion he's got for this football club. But very, very glad, he's staying at the club. But, like I did say, we have got players, quite a few, contracts, we've given players quite a few contracts, this summer and that, and early on this year, that were in the last years of their deals. We did it with Martial. He signed a 5-year deal. He was in the last year of his current deal. Rashford, we gave him a new contract. He was in the last year of his current deal, even though, it was in his last year with Rashford, but obviously there was an option of a further year. We give Juan Mata, same with him. Obviously, it was... Well, at one point, it was looking imminent. He was going to be leaving early on in the summer, but obviously we got him a 2-year contract with an option of a third year. In that aspect, I was surprised because Mata is now 31 years of a virgin. Young got a new 1-year extension last season. Smalling signed a new long-term contract last season, even though now he's on loan to Roma. Jones signed a new long-term contract last season. Don't forget McTominay signed a new. I think he signed a new long-term contract last season. Don't forget. So yeah, we have given quite a few players their contracts and that. But I did say, hopefully Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure can be successful at Manchester United. Like I did say, he's our 4th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. We haven't got the structure, to keep sacking managers, despite the fact that 3 managers have already been sacked, since the Alex Ferguson era. But like I said, regardless of our managers, I just don't think anyone's going to ever replicate, what we did on... We're never going to replicate what we did under Ferguson, no one's going to ever, follow Alex Ferguson's legacy. And that's something we've got to accept in that. Yeah, so hopefully, we can get the win tomorrow evening against FC Astana. Like I did keep saying, I don't really know much about them. I don't really know much about them. But yeah, just wanted to give you a bit more news, building up to the game tomorrow against FC Astana in the Europa League. Just thought I'd give you some bit more news in regards to what's happened. Like I said at the start of the video, Dan James, Martial, Pogba and Luke Shaw have all, were all absent from training, obviously, due to injury. Like I said, Daniel James is, the recent absentee, and he's confirmed he will be missing tomorrow. But Solskjaer's assured that the youth will start, so Greenwood's going to be starting the game, I should presume. Chon should be involved. Angel Tunanzebe should definitely be starting, and definitely Sergio Romero, will be starting. So yeah, this is a chance for the young players to really, put a good team performance in. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribing as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.